Hey everyone, Jayden here. If you're watching this, you're probably feeling pretty overwhelmed with the Australian property market. Interest rates are sky high, prices are bouncing around. It can get so frustrating getting your hopes up to have them crushed repeatedly. You're probably wondering, is it even possible to buy in all this madness? Well, the answer is yes, but you're gonna need to be smarter than ever before. If you're a first home buyer, you're not only competing with other first home buyers, you're competing with investors, upgraders, downsizers, and some of these people are cash rich and willing to spend it. If you're going to get the best price for your future home, you're going to need an edge. And one of the best ways to get an edge is to understand your local market. And in the right market, if you know what you're doing, you can use this knowledge to get a massive discount on the home that you're buying. Some clients of ours recently used the tips I'm going to give you to get a $20,000 discount from the purchase price of their home. I'll tell you more about that later.
Welcome to the Buying Your First Home podcast, your personal guide through the Australian housing market. Here we tackle the big questions and the small details that come up when buying your first home. From financial prep to finding the right neighbourhood, we're here to ensure that you've got all the knowledge at your fingertips. So let's take the first step towards unlocking the door to your new home.
First, I want to show you something that will help you start to understand how real estate market dynamics work. This is an awesome tool because it captures the way that real estate works. All property markets follow the same overall cycle. In a booming market, prices are rising, properties sell fast, and competition is fierce. In a slowdown, growth starts to level off and it takes a little bit longer to sell. In a recession, property prices can drop and there's more stock than buyers. And in a recovery, things start to pick up again, but slowly. Now, there's a quick caveat here. All markets follow the same overall cycle, but they don't follow it at the same time and they don't spend the same amount of time in each of the quadrants of that cycle. Some cities might stay in a rising market for years. Others will have a shorter rise and mainly be there for a matter of months. It all depends on the underlying supply and demand. But using this tool is a great way to get a snapshot of what market you're currently in. Let's take a look at some examples. Brisbane houses at the moment are in the start of a recovery phase of the property clock. Units are in a rising market. It's a similar story in Melbourne. Adelaide, Perth and Sydney are in the middle of a rising market. Canberra and Darwin look to be at their peak. And Hobart is in the midst of a decline. You're probably thinking, cool, Jayden, but how does this help me get a good deal on the house I'm buying? Okay, so that's a fair question. But here's how. Your negotiation strategies should be very different depending on the stage of the property cycle your target market's in. If you're buying in a rising market or one at the start of a recovery, then I'm sorry to say you don't have a lot of room to negotiate on the price. In these markets, you need to put a strong offer and probably even a little bit above the listed price. However, if your market's in a peak or a decline, then you've got a bit of room to maneuver. Let me give you a quick example. A few weeks ago, Sarah and Tom reached out to us at Hunter Galloway. They're after that classic first home, a backyard for the kids, a place to finally establish themselves. And they were looking to buy in Hobart. They'd first looked at buying a place in 2022. Now, back in 2022, the market in Hobart was red hot. Houses were selling in under 20 days and prices were ramping up. Every open home they went to was absolutely packed, and whenever they put an offer on a place, they were completely outbid by investors. After a few too many defeats, they'd given up buying a home. But now, times have changed. Hobart's property prices peaked back in May 2022. Today, it's a whole different beast. Properties are now selling in 53 days on average, compared to 28 just a year ago. The prices are pretty much flatlined. The average home value is worth 0.1% less than it was this time last year. So they went back out and started looking for a house. And after months of searching, they found the place, the perfect location. It ticked most of their boxes. They went all in with a strong offer. We had their pre-approval sorted, and amazingly, the seller accepted. Tom and Sarah were stoked. This was it. But there was a problem. When we went for formal approval, the bank's valuer didn't agree with the price they were paying. They valued it $20,000 less than the contract price. Sarah and Tom didn't have the extra deposit, and the dream of their home all these years in the making was falling apart. Just like that, they were going to have to make up another $20,000. Imagine the gut punch, everything they'd worked for slipping through their fingers. We got to work arranging other valuations, but in the background, Sarah and Tom went back to the agent and said, well, the bank thinks it's worth $20,000 less. What can we do here? And here's the thing to remember. Every seller has their own reasons for selling. Maybe they're downsizing, moving cities, and sometimes there's urgency involved. For Sarah and Tom, we need to figure out what could the seller possibly need more than just the highest price. Time was the key here. Sarah and Tom were already pre-approved, and so they knew their finances were solid. And that was the key for them, becoming the easiest, most hassle-free buyer. So they went back to the seller with a carefully crafted counteroffer. Their final price was $20,000 below their initial offer, showing they were still serious even with that hiccup. Instead of the initial 6-week settlement they'd offered, we reduced it to 4 weeks. Keep in mind, sometimes the sellers want the cash fast. They might be downsizing to a retirement home or need more certainty to their next move. And they weren't concerned with some minor issues on the building and pest report. But here's why this mattered. Sarah and Tom explained the situation pretty honestly. They loved the house, but the bank's valuer made this extra deposit a genuine hurdle. By offering convenience and a speed of settlement at a slightly lower price, they were really addressing the seller's potential anxieties. And also, for the seller's perspective, if they had to cancel the contract, it could take another 2-3 weeks to find another buyer, get their finance approved, and they were happy just to move forward with the offer. So it worked. The seller accepted, and Sarah and Tom had their dream back on track. So Sarah and Tom got a bit lucky with the seller that was happy to work with that. But how can you make this work in your situation? Well, if you're in a declining market like Hobart or one that's peaked like Canberra, you can have more leverage and you can get more creative with your offer. Why? Let's break this down. Firstly, there's more choice. Sellers are competing to grab the attention of fewer buyers. There's time pressure. Unlike in a booming market, sellers worry that their property might sit around for months, getting stale, and the longer it lingers, the more it's going to look undesirable. Thirdly, uncertainty. When prices are falling or flat, sellers get anxious that their property will be worth less in the next 6 weeks or next month. And all this adds up to a simple fact. Sellers are far more willing and open to negotiate. Now, don't get me wrong, you need to do this tactfully and respectfully. But when the market's on your side, there's room to maneuver. So how do you actually spot these softening market opportunities? You can get a lot of what you need for free from realestate.com.au or SQM Research, which gives you a lot of good data to understand where you're at with your local market. SQM is good because it actually goes postcode specific, so you can see in your city, in your actual area, what the local data is saying. Let's take a quick walkthrough using Hobart as an example. There's price trends. Focus on the median house price or unit graphics. Is the trend going up or down or staying pretty flat? This gives you an overall picture of the market. Days on market. Check out the data on SQM Research. If the average days on market is creeping upwards, it's a good sign that sellers are getting impatient. Stock on market. This is also on SQM Research. See the number of properties for sale in your target suburb, and if it's increasing, the more stock means there's more competition for the sellers. Combining these insights can give you a clearer picture than just looking at individual prices. It's about understanding the broader trends. Now let's have a look how this translates into your negotiating power. Here's the thing that a lot of us as buyers forget. Selling a property can be just as stressful as buying one, especially in a softening market. Let's put ourselves in the seller's shoes for a moment. Fear of losing out. The sellers have probably seen recent sale prices and have expectations. If the market slows down, the sellers worry they won't get the price they desperately want or possibly need. Time pressure. If they've already bought another place, they might need a quick sale to finalize their finances. Every week the property goes unsold adds to anxiety. Reputation. It's embarrassing when a property lingers with that for sale sign for ages. Neighbors start asking questions, potential buyers sense the desperation. Now, I'm not saying you should exploit the seller's weakness, but understanding the anxieties can help you tailor your approach. Remember Sarah and Tom? Their offer wasn't just about the price. By offering certainty and a quick settlement, they played directly on the seller's fears. Remember, every seller is different. Here's how to dig a little bit deeper in their situation. At an open house, don't just look at the house. You'll sometimes see the sellers hanging out with the agent. Are they hanging around awkwardly? This could be a sign that they're eager to sell. Are they standoffish? It could mean they're more open to lowball offers. Have a genuine chat with the agent. Agents often let slip tiny little bits of information. Has the property been on the market for long? Are the sellers open to be flexible on price? Don't be afraid to engage them in a conversation. And ask even why they're selling. If possible, find out the reasons behind it. Are they upsizing, downsizing, relocating? Every scenario has potential pressure points you can subtly leverage. It's all about being empathetic, but also strategic. If you can address the seller's anxieties alongside with your offer, you can dramatically increase the chance of success. So once you figure out the market and the seller, you can start looking at different ways to leverage your knowledge into your offer. In a slowing market, don't be afraid to offer lower than a listed price. In a buyer's market where there's fewer buyers and more sellers, sellers might already be anticipating negotiating. That initial offer can set the tone, but remember, be respectful. You can explain your offer with reference to recent comparable sales or highlight some repairs that need work. You can make your offer subject to finance and even reduce the days instead of being 21 to 7 to show you can be a bit quicker and move a bit faster. More from your point of view, this allows you some flexibility. If there's issues, you can always cancel the contract and get out of it. Sellers don't want uncertainty. So if you're offering 30 days for finance, it's probably not going to work out, as well as offering a short-term finance, meaning you can get it done and move on quicker. And settlement flexibility. In a buyer's market, you may be able to dictate the settlement terms. If you want a longer settlement to align with your existing place or your rental, that might work out. Or you could offer a super quick settlement for a distressed seller. Use this to your advantage. And I think it goes without saying, you don't just lowball for the sake of it. If someone lists their Hobart unit for $500,000, offering them $400,000 is probably going to be insulting. It's about finding a sweet spot where you can respect their position, but also demonstrate you're a serious buyer, just capitalizing on market conditions. And one more thing, pre-approval is a must in the current market. It's going to give you confidence to put in some of those cheeky offers knowing that you've got financial backing. It's going to give you speed so you can quickly move when you find the right property, outpacing slower buyers, and make you a lower risk prospective seller. If you're not sure where to start with the pre-approval process, or you're worrying about changing environment interest rates, at Hunter Galloway, we can help you out. We're a mortgage broker and help home buyers Australia-wide. Understanding your local market, knowing this negotiation tactics, and thinking strategically about your offer can help make the difference between missing out and finally getting your foot in the door. Here's the thing, even if it feels overwhelming now, don't let it stop you. Start small, check out the websites I mentioned, and get a feel for what's happening in your local area. The more you learn, the more confident you'll become. And hey, if you get to the point where you're seriously ready to take the plunge and the financial side feels daunting, that's where we can step in. At Hunter Galloway, we're about making your home ownership a reality. We're the home for home buyers across Australia. We can help you secure your home and a loan. So you can reach out to us for a free assessment at huntergalloway.com.au or give us a call on 1300 088 065. We're here to help. Until next time, I'll see you later.